Hey everybody, this is Waldo here with the first full episode of Geared Perspectives, my new series going into a little bit more depth of some mechanics and details for the Gears of War franchise. We're going to start today by talking about active reloads. Before we start with that, I want to open with a quote from George Santana. It's those who forget their past are doomed to repeat it. If anybody knows, we've been in Gears of War for 10 years now. It's a decade-long series. We've been around this boat before. We've seen multiplayer footage. We've seen all the games come out. We've been here. This is something that it's not going away. It's revitalizing the series, so we need to get things fixed now before the game releases, and then we're asking for patches. So those who don't know, active reloads were originally a gimmick that was put into the campaign to make people reload their guns faster, but they didn't use it. So what they did is they added a little bit of an active damage component where you got bonus damage in the campaign to do more damage to the enemy AIs to help you through the campaign. If you've ever played it on Hard, Insane, or done Horde mode in Gears 2, you know that this is a great feature for those modes because it makes the burden of hitting your shots and ammo count a little bit easier. It gives you a little bit of a damage boost. The problem is that it should have never gone to multiplayer. This is something that Gears of War's original multiplayer was a last-minute development. They tested it in the studio. They thought it was good. They sent it out with the game with 3 game modes. They pretty much just copy and pasted campaign, multiplayer, exact same things, and it ended up working out. The issue is that giving players extra damage on their weapons just for reloading their gun on a gimmicky component is not healthy for gameplay or balancing. Even after Gears UE was dropped, Cliffy B put out a tweet after asking when the active snipe was getting taken out. He said, "I always hated the active snipe. It was a mistake." Which means it shouldn't have been there, and it was supposed to be patched out at some point, but it never got that way. That's something that needs to be taken into account. I don't think active damage should have ever transitioned into it. It's a great single-player component. It works. It helps you out there, but it doesn't help you in the multiplayer because everybody, if you've played Gears of War at any point in time, active damage gives you a lot more control in fights than you should have. And it makes it really hard just to balance the guns from a baseline. It creates a barrier to entry for newer players. And this is something that hasn't really been talked about but needs to be focused on, is that new players playing Gears don't always get all the mechanics. There's wall bouncing, there's strafing, there's hitting your shots, then there's active reloading and all the extra damage, and then timing precision of how you do certain mechanics. This makes it a little bit harder because people just are used to reloading their guns in fights. They're not used to having to take this weapon and get an extra damage boost and understanding how critical it is in certain fights to get a perfect active reload, get extra damage on your gun, and then go into a fight. If you've ever watched competitive Gears of War 3, you would see people clearing clips out of their weapons so that they could run into fights, and then all of a sudden they can go in and get this extra damage boost and maybe have an advantage and win the fight. And again, active damage is huge. Any type of damage boost that you're giving to players that doesn't have a lot of cost on it is a big deal. It's hitting a perfect active. It's been 10 years. All the active bars have been the same. Most of us have precision muscle memory. We've done this long enough that it's just click, doing it. Coalition has added a new feature into the game with the new cooldown system that they're trying to rework the active system. I don't agree with it. It's a better solution, but I think that there's an even greater solution that we could use to utilize to balance the game completely. Essentially, each weapon has a cooldown on it. You get an active for 12 seconds or for 8 seconds, and then it's on a 12-second cooldown, so you only have 4 seconds where you can't have active bullets in your gun. The issue is that it breaks up monotonous gameplay or the flow of gameplay for gamers because, again, I said, we've been doing this for 10 years. We've been playing this game for a long time. Most of us have actives. Going into a fight, we reload our gun to make sure that we don't run out of ammo mid-fight. So you could have a full clip of actives in the beta right now, and then you reload it, and you can erase the entire clip and just go back down to base damage, which means that you have to be paying attention to your cooldowns, which is great if we're playing a MOBA, but we're not. We're trying to make a competitive third-person shooter. And that's the big element here, is that Gears, we want a balanced, competitive third-person shooter, and we're still running off certain gimmicky elements that should have been removed a long time ago. We shouldn't rework it, it should just be gone. I'm for the removal of active damage, not the active reloading. I think reloading your gun faster and hitting that mechanic is good and healthy for gameplay. I think that giving players extra damage for no reason is not. Especially if you guys know that you can actually, in the new system, you can actually reload your boom shot, torque bow, and sniper and get a perfect active reload with a full clip before you've ever shot a round. So there's little to no cost after picking up a weapon. You actually get rewarded for not firing your gun. You know, and this is the part that could be, this is, you know, Epic Games' mistake of leaving it in could be the Coalition's folly here. We don't want this to continue happening. We want a balanced, competitive outlet. Without actives, we actually raise the skill cap in the game because it requires gun game. It requires people to be accurate with their guns and hit their shots. That also means that we can reevaluate the base damages for all the starting weapons and rebalance the game straight without having to worry about there's an active damage component, so we have to bounce the gun here because as soon as they get actives, this is where it's really going to be. If we get rid of this, we can bring everything into alignment, have great base damage on all the guns, increase rate of fire on some of them, and have a better balanced game that's based on hitting your shots versus getting an active, running into a fight, trying to make something amazing happen and making the big play because you know that you're going to get free stats off of it. And it is free. Like I said, we've done this long enough that it's muscle memory. We can go into a fight and just active before we get there, kill everybody, and then hit another active. Now, in Gears of War 4, again, cooldowns. But still, this is not a MOBA, this is not Dota. We don't need to have cooldowns. We don't fight things in team fights in a 5v5 situation where we all run mid and spray and pray and hope that we're got to get an active back up. Just doesn't work. And even in high-skilled coordination things, active damage has always been a problem. In Gears 3, when you were running into stopping power and team crosses in the competitive aspect, it was super hard to make any type of pushes across a double lancer with actives on because you are going to get dropped if you poke your head out. That is how accurate these players are at hitting their shots. That should be something that's accounted for. You know, we need gun game. We need a higher skill cap. We need players to... We need this game to be competitively accessible to everybody. And everything needs to be the same across all game modes. I don't want actives in my multiplayer anymore. At least I don't want active damage. If you can find some kind of utility for it, fantastic. But active damage is a hindrance to the growth of the game. Again, those players that are way in the back that are coming in, it's a barrier to entry. It's super hard. Why should I get actives? I just need to shoot my gun. If I hit my shots, the guy should die. And then later they realize, oh, I kind of need these to actually win these fights because that's what everyone else is doing. And I know the argument's there, but everybody has actives. That doesn't mean it's balanced by any means. It could be your idea of it. Oh, well, this guy has if everyone has the same thing, that's a balanced gameplay, right? It doesn't mean it's healthy, and it doesn't mean that it's right. We need to really look at this and say, hey, I don't want extra damage on my guns anymore. I want to be proven that I have a better gun skill than the guy I'm competing against. I want to know that I hit my shots and I'm not getting cheated and leaving a questionable doubt if I would have won that fight if there weren't actives in the game. And there is always a question, especially from casters and analysts, would they have won that fight if they didn't have actives? That's something that we always have to take into account. Along with that, I don't care on social modes. You can leave active damage in Horde and Co-op AI and Campaign. It's fine. It's a gimmicky component that you can leave in that side. But in the multiplayer, everything needs to be the same. If we're trying to make a competitive Gears of War esport, all the damage needs to be baselined and unified across every game mode. There doesn't need to be two separate playlists. We don't need to separate this community. If you guys aren't aware, we're competitive community is about 200 to 500 players at max, and we have a very big voice on Twitter, and this has been a very heated topic. We do not need to keep separating ourselves with multiple playlists and different ways of playing. In Judgment, they got rid of the actives. And they got rid of active damage in Judgment, and it was one of the... We were all excited about it. Judgment ended up being a terrible game, but in the same right, we liked it better. The community will praise you for letting us have a skill-based gun game. With that being said, guys, please like and subscribe below. I'm going to be making more videos talking about other things like ESL, PAX, other game modes that are getting announced for the game, and I hope to see you guys back here on the channel. Also follow me on Twitter, where we can discuss this further, and I hope to talk to you guys later.